The Charlotte Ledger Podcast is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network.
This episode of the Charlotte Ledger Podcast is proudly sponsored by AC Creative Collective. Founded by sisters Amoura and Avery Carter, known as AC Squared, they specialize in marketing services, strategy, and learning and development. From social media management to strategic planning, they amplify your voice and cultivate growth. AC Creative Collective provides personalized, hands-on services that empower businesses to thrive. Whether it's crafting impactful marketing strategies, managing complex projects, or launching standout training, they handle every detail so you can focus on what you do best. Learn more and book a consultation at accreativecollective.com.
Hey, it's Tony Messia of the Charlotte Ledger, and you're listening to the Charlotte Ledger Podcast. You can find out more about the Charlotte Ledger at thecharlotteledger.com. Today, I'm talking with Amoura Carter and Avery Carter. They are entrepreneurs and the founders of AC Creative Collective, which offers marketing services throughout the Carolinas. And they're also sisters, so they run a family business. Amoura is the founder and CEO, and Avery is the creative director. We're going to talk today about entrepreneurship, what it's like running a family business, and we're going to talk about the marketing industry. So Amoura and Avery, I just want to start off saying I love talking to entrepreneurs, to people who've started their own business. I just think it's really interesting. You know, working for yourself, I think, is very different than working, you know, in a corporation as an employee. There's just so much that rests on your shoulders, and you learn a lot. I mean, a lot of stuff you didn't even think about, like, I don't know, like payroll and human resources and taxes and all these things that maybe you didn't have a background in, but you are suddenly responsible for. So I'm just fascinated by it. So if you could tell me, just to start off, what led you to start your own company?
Yeah. So started out with me, Amoura. Hi. And I definitely had a windy road, right? Windy career path, did a lot of different things, which has helped us with AC Creative Collective. But I don't know if anyone remembers 2007. That's when I graduated from Davidson College. That economic downturn, it was really difficult to find a great job, which led to, you know, trying a lot of different things. And I landed in education, and then corporate education. And I felt really unfulfilled there. And so from there, I got the motivation to figure out, how can I find my passion? You know what I mean? I don't know if you've been there, but if you were in a unfulfilled career, it can be soul crushing, right? So that was my motivation, and I had to figure out what my superpowers were, and really hone in on that to find out what I'm passionate about. And you know, Avery's going to speak to this a little bit later, but we're passionate about helping companies, organizations succeed through a well thought out plan. And we do this through marketing and learning and development.
How did you find out what your passion was? Like, what was that? What kind of process was that?
Yeah, so I started out with thinking about what I'm great at, just what I excel at without even like trying. And for me, that's relationship building, multitasking, planning. Like, I am an organizer. If you look at my house, you're like, what is going on?
Like, there's no straight clothes, like over the couch, like the books are all like vertical and that kind of thing.
Yes, it's what I love doing. And so it's like, how can I do this every day? And I'm not going to say that, you know, every day is a piece of cake, but I was like, I need to figure out how I can do what I'm good at every single day.
And then how did that lead to marketing? I'm just curious. We'll get to Avery in a second. How did that lead to marketing? I mean, like, you're good at organizing, you're good at relationships, but tell me about the marketing side.
Well, I mean, anyone who's in marketing knows that it needs to be organized, right? You need a strategic plan to figure out how someone is going to really get out into the marketplace and create a brand for themselves. And I will say, in this business, I'm the project manager, the educator. Avery is the marketing person. But, you know, in planning out these strategic plans that Avery creates, you know, they need to be organized. We need to keep people on a consistent marketing path. And especially, Avery will talk about this later, you know, with social media algorithms, you can't just haphazardly, you know, post anymore. Like, you can't do that anymore.
Right. Okay. So
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 that's
you bring the organizational skills, and then Avery, tell me about your background a little bit.
So my background is in advertising and graphic design, and I've worked B2B, direct to consumer, nonprofit marketing sectors. So I have a wide range of experience. And I think Amoura and I got started with like collaborating on projects and then really finding out that we have like a knack for working with each other and our skill set meld well together. So then we made it official and got an ACPA collective.
So you two grew up together. Are you surprised that you wound up working together too? I mean, is that something that when you were growing up, were you like, hey, this is going to be great. We can, someday we'll work together. Or, I mean, was anything like that? Or is it sort of just happenstance how everything worked out?
I definitely think we've gotten closer over the years.
Mhm.
So maybe, in the later years, it did evolve over time. But when we were younger, no, I was
Okay. Okay. And so then, I mean, there are a lot of marketing agencies out there. What is the problem that you were solving, or what was the niche that you saw, or the seam that you saw where you're like, okay, wait a minute, we could actually start something up here and make it work?
I think that there's a lot of companies out there that are feeling overwhelmed with all the noise and all of the avenues and opportunities that there are to get their voice across. And it isn't really about just posting haphazardly and randomly anymore and kind of doing a fire hose of content. People are really looking for a strategy. So we really empathize with our clients around feeling overwhelmed, and we bring kind of like that calming energy and, okay, let's clarify what you're looking for. Let's start with understanding your target audience. Let's start with understanding who you are as a company and what your voice is. What do you bring uniquely to the market? And from there, building a strategy that's really tailored to them and kind of like walking them through that and helping them understand like where that strategy comes from.
Makes sense. And so when you're building this, like what was the thing that you learned? What kind of things did you learn in the process of building AC Creative Collective? Because I know that, one of the things that you all, work on is like learning and development. I'm just wondering how your own learning and development, how that went and what that was like.
I think it started with working at a lot of different organizations and a few that were great and a few that failed, and figuring out the ones that failed, what were they doing wrong? And a lot of them weren't doing any consistent marketing or learning and development until something happened. And that's not when you want to start doing both of those things. You want to have a consistent brand, and you want to consistently have learning and development for your, to create great employees, but also to get ahead of issues. And so I think we discovered that and wanted to build that into our company.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of places, and I talk to a lot of people in the PR, public relations world, and they get called in if there's some crisis, right? And one of the ways to really head off some of those situations is just to have sort of the credibility, the day in and day out credibility that you build, and not just be reactive, but to actually be consistent and develop those relationships so that when things turn south, you actually have you have some relationships to fall back and build on.
You're building trust,
right? Yeah, I mean it's a consistent thing. It's not just you can't just come in once a year and do something. It's got to be a consistent messaging, I'm guessing, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's interesting now with the changing administrations, pushback on diversity, equity, and inclusion. A lot of companies are being tested with that. Are your values exactly what you say they are? Or are you kind of just, like you're saying, being reactionary, changing, with the winds of the changing tide kind of thing?
Yeah, it's been interesting to see that, how the messaging from places changes, but, based on some of the recent, political changes. And so, but, I know one of these trends, and we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but, one of the trends in marketing is, just authenticity, right? I think people really respond to authenticity. And it's not just, you're not just creating a message that has nothing to do with who you are, but it's like what the information that you're pushing out should be a reflection of who you are, and your company, should project who you are. And so people, I think, can sniff out inauthenticity. And I think there's a real danger for brands and companies that just do things because they think it's expedient in the moment and not build that sort of longer term, those longer term relationships with their, with their customers or their audience, right?
And everyone has like their unique perspective and journey. And like Avery was saying and figuring out what that is, really honing in on that and creating a brand around that. So it's not just a cookie cutter box of what you think, you should be doing or what everyone around you is doing, finding out what makes your business unique and then creating a marketing plan around that.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so tell me a little bit about AC Creative Collective. So what, how many other employees do you have? What kind of clients do you have? Are there any industries you specialize in? Any particular parts of marketing? Is it events? Is it social media? Is it strategy? Tell me a little bit about what what it is exactly that you're doing.
AC Creative Collective, we have two different divisions. So we're marketing and learning and development, end to end on both of them. So I'll go for the learning and development side. We have a few workshops that we offer that, a range of different workshops for senior leaders in the C-suite, all the way down to how to make, interesting, engaging meetings, something as small as meetings. However, most people spend half of their day in meetings. So how do you make those effective and interesting? And we do every workshop that we have, we try to make engaging. So like one of them, we use Legos, right? So how do you teach collaboration? Well, we teach it through Legos, right? And we can also create custom workshops and trainings because remember, everyone has their own unique issues, perspective. And so we try to create workshops that can help you with any issues that you're having at your organization. And then on the other side, we have end-to-end marketing, and Avery can go into that.
Yeah, so when it comes to marketing, we really focus in on your strategic plan, on developing go-to-market strategies for our clients. It's really on research and it's data-driven. We manage social media, calendars. We develop brand guidelines, and so that includes like logo and web design and all the artistic aspects of it, as well as strategy and research.
We actually have a wide range of clients because I will say every industry needs marketing. If they don't have it, I'm telling you now, you need it. And every industry needs some type of learning and development. I think, some need more than others and some need more consistent, maybe quarterly versus yearly, but those are things that every industry needs.
We'll be right back to the conversation, but first, this episode is brought to you by AC Creative Collective. AC Creative Collective specializes in end-to-end marketing and learning and development services. They are dedicated to helping businesses and organizations streamline their operations and achieve their goals with creativity and precision. From social media strategies to workshops and brand launches, they've got you covered. Visit www.accreativecollective.com to learn more.
Yeah, I'm curious about the learning and development piece. I mean, it just seems like, I think like you're probably seeing this too. I'm guessing a lot of places sort of neglect that. Well, they know that they should be working to develop their employees and themselves and learn more skills and become better managers and things like that. I'm guessing a lot of them don't do that the way that they should. Why do you think that should be a priority? What are you seeing?
I mean, I'm really seeing that people wait until the last minute. People are waiting until there's some type of issue that then you need to bring us in to address. And really, if you want to retain high quality employees, you have to get ahead of those issues, right? You have to tell them that I'm listening to you. I know that, this is happening and let's address it before it becomes where people want to leave or they're not motivated or they are, you know what I mean? You don't want to wait for those signs that someone's about to jump ship to then address something that is happening, because typically if someone's about to leave, things have been festering for months, maybe years.
So what do you all do to
So
help with that?
so we have our workshops that we offer, but then we go in, we have focus groups, we talk to the executive leadership and the employees, right, in different settings to see what is the issue. Because you might get two different stories on what the issue actually is. And then we can build a workshop to address whatever that issue is, whether that is a training, if it's like mediated conversations. And so it really depends on the organization and what they need to get back on track. Because we want an effective culture, and every organization is different on figuring out how to make that possible.
I want to go back a little bit to one thing you said on the meetings, because I know that how to make meetings more fun and more effective. I mean, a lot of people kind of loathe meetings. They don't like going to meetings. They go on too long. There's some, the dynamics of meetings. Some people just want to talk and be heard. Other people want to just get out of there as soon as possible. What are some things that companies can do to make their meetings, less boring and more effective?
First thing, and this should be simple, but you'd be surprised how many people just don't have an agenda. Like, do you have an effective agenda? Are you sticking to it? Right? Are you addressing the needs from last meeting and this previous meeting to make sure that they are handled and done before moving on to new things? Those are just some simple, like, practical things that I see so many people not doing. And then on the engaging side, I always like to, at the beginning, you can ask people, how was your weekend? How is your day going? But 1 minute. I think people want to make it engaging and want to interact with their employees. And then half the meeting is just hanging out, which then becomes frustrating. You don't want to do that. So this is the planning coming out. Every single piece of your meeting needs to be planned, even the engaging fun parts.
That makes sense. And then I know, it sounds like you go into companies and you have some discussions and you can help them, it sounds like, structure sort of what they're doing to become more effective. Do you have any advice for navigating transitions in business or transitions in life?
Yes, I would say there's a few things. One, I would say stay flexible and curious. I think sometimes we go in there and people are really digging their heels in, and they're not. And because of that, they're not listening. So really, really staying flexible and curious about what's going on, what could change. And I have to go back to it. Creating a plan.
Right.
Definitely. I always go back to that.
I used to have an editor whose motto was, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. You would be so surprised at the amount of people who just fly by the seat of their pants.
Yeah, it's good to, I think, walk in, especially to a meeting situation, and have a plan, know what you want to do, or you don't have to have your entire life planned out necessarily, but you sort of know generally what direction you're going. I think that's very helpful.
Right. And we can help. I was going to say, we can help. Someone can help fill in the small little details, but you at least need to know where you want to go, where you want to be.
Yeah.
And why you want to be there.
Oh, definitely. I want to talk a little bit about the marketing side of the business too, because this is, I think, also interesting. It just seems like nowadays there's so many avenues that companies can take. There's so many ways to reach people, and maybe that's good, but it's also, I think it can be overwhelming if you say, okay, well, I want to let people know that my business exists or my organization exists. I want to tell my story, but there's social media. You could do direct mail. You could take out ads. There's all kinds of different ways to reach people. How do you think through all those possibilities with clients and come up with a strategy that's most effective?
I think you start with understanding your audience, understanding the brand, And then speaking directly to those people, going to like where those people are, speaking their language, creating content that resonates with them. But I think it really does come down to, do you know who your company is, what your messaging is, what your unique perspective is.
I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, because you all are got your own company. You've got like you were saying, a couple different divisions, the marketing and the learning and development. What do you like about being an entrepreneur and having your own business? And then what are the challenges?
Well, with two little ones, I love having, the flexibility, obviously. So like I can go to my daughter's Easter egg hunt. So that's always really nice. But then on the other side, there's always more that you could be doing with your business. So I think people always want to start their own company thinking that they will have more time. But then I find that I fill that time up with thinking about the business and how we can get better. What can we change? What can we learn? How can we get new business? So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people assume that, oh, well, you own your own company, you have amazing levels of flexibility. What's that like working together as sisters? Because there are probably some people listening who would say, I am fine having a complete division between my work and home life. And then, whereas you all have known each other, I mean, you probably have all kinds of stories about each other when you were growing up. We won't get into those necessarily. But I mean, what is that like? Just, working with somebody who you've known your entire life?
I think it takes out that learning phase. Like when you start a new job and you're learning your manager or your employees, we didn't have that, because we already know each other. We know how the other person communicates and works. So it took out a bit of that learning curve. And like this morning, we went on a walk. We're trying to get some steps in. And on that walk, we were able to talk about the business and things that we need to do. So, kill two birds with one stone type of thing.
I can see that where, yeah, it'd be nice to have somebody that, that you can trust and that there's no, like you're saying, no learning curve on sort of how they communicate or who they are, or you can sort of skip ahead to that. That's something that might take years in a work relationship to build up. That you all already have that. You can definitely see some advantages.
Right. So
there.
like being able to trust them, and are they an honest person, right? Like that takes a long time to gain for someone you don't know, but we can sort of go in knowing that you could, trust, and that person's going to be honest with you, right? Which you need when you're running your own business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a level of probably bluntness too, where you can sort of speak what's on your mind, I'm guessing. Sounds like that's the case. So what's the plan for AC Creative Collective?
Well, we are, we're expanding. We are, advertising with you all at the 40 for 40 event. We have a few other projects that are coming up advertising wise. We'll be presenting at a museum conference with with the internship we created. So we have a few things in the works.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and we appreciate helping us with the 40 over 40 awards. Is there anything else I didn't ask you about that you all want to talk about?
No, but I just want to reiterate that, the importance of marketing and learning and development consistently in warding off issues, right? So I would tell anyone out there, if you want to stay ahead of anything that may come up, you want to retain top-notch employees, then you want to invest in your marketing and learning and development. And it is an investment, but I think it is a worthwhile investment that all business owners should be making.
Do you have any particular anecdote or example in your head of either someone you worked with maybe that did that and saw the benefits of it, or the flip side where they didn't and they sort of, experienced some consequences because of that? Is there any particular stories stand out without naming names?
Yes. So we did marketing with a Starbucks franchise. It's a little different because it's such a large name. but it was on a college campus, which is a bit different, right? But when we started their marketing campaigns, they were new and they weren't in a great visible location. And that was their hindrance. And so really getting out into the community and the campus increased their traffic. And, at a Starbucks, you want people in there working and then hopefully buying coffee the entire time and food the entire time they're working. And that's what happened. I will say on the flip side, some of our customers that didn't see growth either happened because they weren't consistent or they stopped too soon. You have to give it time. Marketing takes time. You can't start marketing on the first day of the month and expect on the 30th to see, tenfold. You have to give it time. You have to build up an audience. You have to build up that brand and that trust, and then you will, which is what we saw with the Starbucks franchise.
Got it. And if people want to find out more about AC Creative Collective, where can they do that?
The website is always a great place to get more information. We have a lot of information about marketing and learning and development, and you can contact us there. You can also email us, Amoura, Amoura, at accreativecollective.com, or Avery, Avery, at accreativecollective.com. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook.
People can find you, is what you're saying. You're out there for people. You're not hiding. You have a digital footprint. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
We make it very easy for people to find us.
Well, that's great. Well, that sounds like a great place to end it. Amoura and Avery, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap. To our listeners, thank you for listening. This episode of the Charlotte Ledger Podcast was produced by Lindsay Banks.
This episode of the Charlotte Ledger Podcast was sponsored by AC Creative Collective. This Charlotte-based business specializes in marketing services, strategy, and learning and development services that help businesses thrive. Check them out at www.accreativecollective.com for innovative solutions tailored to your needs.
QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com.